Hey guys, welcome to the 2016 Level 1 Geometric Reasoning exam paper. So as usual guys, just pause the video at the start of the question, try to do the question by yourself, and then just work through the answers that I've shown. I'll also try my best to show you guys where it's achieved merit and excellence. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I guess this year they've kind of gone with its theme of Sky Tower. So that was what the question paper started out with. So the first question is, as I said guys, just pause it, read through it, but I'm just going to go straight to the part 1 where it says calculate length L of the leg from the ground to the tower. So what I've got here is a right angle triangle where L is here, 3 meters is the base, and then the height is 43 meters. So at this point, you should recognize that you're actually doing Pythagoras. So for example, if I say that that's A, B, and C, then we can say that C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So C is equal to square root of A squared plus B squared. So in this case, L, because that's what C is, it's going to be square root of A squared, which is 3 squared, plus B squared, which is 43 squared. And when you put this in the calculator, you should get an answer of 43.10 meters. So this question, guys, is worth and achieved. Okay, the second part of this question. So I know the exam paper might look slightly different. I've just kind of rearranged the questions so that we can still use the diagram. So the second part of the question, they're asking you to figure out what the angle X is. Now, remember we already calculated L from the previous question, so you could potentially use that if you want as well. I mean, you could use sine, cos, tan, whichever one you want. The one I'm going to use is tan, because I know that these two measurements here, it's already given to me, so that's going to be opposite. 43 is going to be adjacent. So tan of an angle is opposite over adjacent. So then tan of X is equal to opposite is 3 and adjacent is 43. And so X is equal to inverse tan of 3 over 43, which happens to be 4.0 degrees. But of course in the calculator when you do it, you get 3.9909 degrees. I should really have put that there. But I'm just going to round it up to 4.0 degrees. Or you can actually leave it just as 4 degrees as well. It's not, if you round it up. So this question, guys, is worth and achieved. Alright, let's go to the next one. Okay guys, so with this question, there's so many ways in how you can actually do this particular question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to do it using similar triangles. Alright, now with similar triangles, what I need to figure out is this distance here first. Alright, now you can actually use 43 from the previous question, but because of the angle that's been given, which is 86 degrees, I think you need to actually work out the blue part first. So to work out the blue part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this H, for example. So I'm going to work out what H is first before using the similar triangles. Because if you think about it, you've got this little triangle where this is 86 degrees, this is 3 meters, and this is H. So what you have is you've got opposite and you've got adjacent. So you've got to use tan rule for this. So basically what we have is tan of 86 degrees equals opposite, which is H, adjacent over adjacent, which is 3. So then I can say that H is equal to 3 times tan of 86 degrees, which means H is equal to 42.9 meters, rounded up. So now that I have H I can actually figure out how to work out what P is. Because with similar triangles, how it works is like this. I'm going to look at particularly this part here. See how the base is 3 meters here, but then in the next line the base is 4.05. So you can actually see by what ratio you're multiplying by 3 to get to 4.05. So I'm trying to figure out what ratio is the triangle actually made bigger by. So in that case, I'm going to have 3 multiplied by k equals 4.05 meters. So k is like the scale factor. So in this case, k equals to 4.05 divided by 3. And so k is equal to 1.35. Now I've figured out what the scale factor is, which means I need a different color. There we go. So if I take h and I multiply it by 1.35, I should get what that orange distance is. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take h and I'm going to multiply it by a scale factor of 1.35, and that's going to give me this orange line. I'm just going to call it h2, for example. All right. So when I do this, I know that h is equal to 42.9 meters. So 42.9 multiplied by 1.35 is now going to equal that h2, which is like the whole height. And when I multiply this in the calculator, I get h2 as 57.915 meters. So now what I could do is I could actually figure out what P is, because P is actually that distance there. So you can actually see that H, the blue part, plus P, which is the purple line, that should equal to H2, which is the orange line. So if I substitute the values, I got 42.9 plus P equals 57.915, which means P is equal to 57.915 minus 42.9, so P is equal to 15.02 meters. So that should be 15.015 meters, but of course rounded up, we can write that as 15.02 meters. Okay, so in terms of marks, I think you need to get P correctly for merit. If you multiply h by k, so I guess somewhere around here, if you get this, you get achieved. Set up trig equations correctly. So possibly you could probably pick up an achieved from here as well. Cool. That's it for this question, guys. Let's go to the next one. Alright guys, so basically for this question, I mean, you've got the diagram there, and what they're asking you to do is find the shortest distance d. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a diagram here for you guys. So basically, let's take this point here is going to be the center. Now remember that the diameter of the center circle is 12 meters. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a triangle like this. So one from that point, and the other side of it is going to be from that point to that point. So the first step is to try and figure out what this angle here is. Okay, now if you think about it, if I want to continue on, right, so let's say from the center of the big circle I go to every center of the little circle, then I'm going to get basically it's an octagon. Okay, if it's an octagon, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal angles in the middle that's being centered out. So what I can do is the first step I need to do is I can go 360 degrees divided by 8 equals 45 degrees. So the first thing is this angle right here is 45 degrees. Now the next thing you need to know is remember that the diameter of the big circle is 12 meters. So the distance, which is the purple line from the center to the edge, is going to be 6 meters. Okay, now the other part is from here to here, which is already 4 meters. So we can say that that part there is going to be 4 meters. So hopefully that made sense. I'm going to draw the diagram out a little bit so you guys can see it. So we've got a triangle that looks like this. All right, the purple part is 6 meters, which is that. The orange part, which is from here to here, is 4 meters. And the other thing that we know is that the angle is 45 degrees. Now, the next step is splitting this triangle into 2 parts. So we actually have it as a right angle triangle. So what we then have is we have a shape of the triangle that looks like this, where this distance is going to be 10 meters. This is going to be 45 divided by half, which is 22.5 degrees. All right, so that's how we get 22.5 degrees. Now, hopefully this all makes sense to you. So let's actually figure out what this part is. Now, this golden part, which is going to be this distance here, I'm going to show you guys where it is. It is from the halfway point here to the center of the little circle there. That is what that golden part is going to be. So to do that, I just use basic SOHCAHTOA, guys. So what do we have? We're looking for the opposite. We've been given the hypotenuse, so we're using sine rule. So we have sine of 22.5 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse, which is 10. So which means I can say opposite equals 10 times sine of 22.5 degrees, which is equal to 3.83 meters, rounded up. So now the next thing is, I know this just keeps going, guys, but just bear with me on this. So the 3.83 is, I'm going to have to draw a bigger triangle so it actually makes sense. Okay, so there's the little circle there. So the 3.83 meters is actually from here to halfway point to here. So that's what 3.83 meters is. Now the distance D is actually from here to here. The other thing that you need to remember is we also know the diameter of the little circle, which happens to be 2 meters. So that means from here to here is 2 meters. Yeah, I know, this is just one of those weird questions where there's so much work to do. And so basically D can be written as 2 times the light blue part. Okay, and I can figure out what the light blue part is because I can go 3.83 minus 2 meters, which should give me 1.83 meters, which means, sorry, I just realized I made a mistake. The diameter is 2 meters. Oh man, this is one of those really annoying questions. So if the diameter is actually 2 meters, then the radius is 1 meter, which means the light blue part is going to be 3.83 minus 1, which is 2.83 meters. And then if you see D is then going to be 2 lots of it. So because remember, that's just 1/2 of it, and the other half is also going to be 2.83 meters. So then D is going to be 2.83 meters multiplied by 2, which should give you your final answer of 5.66 meters. So grades wise, you're looking at excellence for the 5.66. Correct calculation of X. What does that mean? Correct, that's a 3.83. So if you get up to here, you're getting a merit. Or if you even make it like a, you know how I made the 2 meter mistake, you can still get a merit for it. And then achieved is, I guess, any one of these things here, doing this part here. Cool, guys, that's it for this question. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so for this particular question, sometimes it's a good idea to kind of like just do the question just with numbers before you start writing down all the reasons. That's the way, I would actually do it, but in this case I'm going to try and show it to you guys with the reasons as well. So obviously I need to figure out what x is, and then I've got to figure out what y is. Now I'm going to actually work out what x is first. But to work out x first, I need to figure out what this angle here and here is. Now, I know that this is a regular octagon. If it's a regular octagon, then those two blue angles are going to be the same. All right? And if you think about it, there are 8 of those angles. So you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the first thing is this. If there are 8 sides for an 8-sided shape, this is how I kind of do it. It's like I know that there's 6 triangles inside it, which means if there are 6 triangles, then I'm going to have 6 times 180 degrees, which is the sum of all the angles, and divided by 8, because there's 8 angles, it's going to give me 135 degrees, which is angles in a polygon, because that's the reason I'm going to give. So what I can say then is, from here, I guess I should have really said interior angle, but I could have actually gone on to say something like this: angle TKY. So TKY is the same thing as angle KYS. And because interior angles are 135, I can say that that is equal to 135 degrees. Now, the other thing is, because this is an this is a regular octagon, I need to go choose a different color. I know that YS, which is this part here, equals KY equals TK. Okay, TK and equals KY. What I have is an isosceles trapezium. Okay, because those sides are the same, and of course that means the angles have to be the same as well. So if that's the case, then I can say that angle X is equal to angle TSY. I'm going to try and show you guys that in a different color. So angle TSY is this one right here. That's angle X. What I now know is in a trapezium, so basically I'm going to try and draw this part of the trapezium. This is what it looks like. I know that that's 135, and that's 135. That's X. That's also equal to X. So from this, I can work out that sum of angles in trapezium equals 360 degrees. Therefore, X plus 135 plus 135 equals 360 degrees. And of course, I can actually solve this and say X is equal to 45 degrees. And because X equals to 45 degrees, then I can say angle TSY is also equal to 45 degrees. Now, the next step I can do is this. I know that this triangle, I'm looking at triangle OYS. And of course, the way I'm going to do this is, I wanted to see if I can actually show you guys how to do this. Angle OYS. No, I'm going to work out YOS. So basically, I'm going to work out this angle here first. So remember, I'm now looking at that angle inside, which I've already worked out in the previous question, because I know that's actually 45 degrees. Because if you look at it, because see how you can actually create 8 triangles from the center. and if you have 360 degrees divided by 8, you're going to get 45 degrees. So that angle there is going to equal 45 degrees. And I would probably say something along the lines of like angles in center is 360 degrees, and something along the lines of regular octagon. So angles will be the same at center, or something along the lines of that. So once you have that as 45 degrees, you also know that the side YO equals OS because it's an isosceles triangle. So therefore, then you can say angle OSY. So OSY is going to be this angle here. Angle OSY is equal to 180 degrees minus 45 divided by 2, which is 67.5 degrees. So what I've now found is this golden angle. I'm going to show you guys here. The golden angle is this here, which happens to be OSY, which is 67.5. So then I can say angle Y equals angle, maybe I should put this in a different color. Angle Y equals to angle OSY minus the light blue angle, which happens to be TSY. And when I do that, I get 67.5 minus 45 degrees, which equals 22.5 degrees. Now, you can say that 22.5 is actually half of x, which is 45 degrees. Half of 45 is 22.5. So you can say, therefore, angle Y is half of angle x. And that's your final answer. Yeah, so get to the final part to get an excellence. I think if you find x and y, you get merit. So if you find y and x, but you forget that last part, then you can only get a merit. And if you find one of the angles, which is either x or y, you get achieved. Cool. That's it for question 1, guys. We move to question 2. Okay, so with this question, you've been asked to figure out what x is. I guess the first assumption you have to make is angle LDB equals 90 degrees, which is this one here. Oh, sorry, didn't realize that. It's 90 degrees because BD, which is the pillar, is perpendicular to LM, which is the ground. So that's the first assumption we're making. And because of that, then we can say angle X equals 90 minus 2 degrees, which equals to 88 degrees. That's basically it. So if you get achieved, okay, so this looks like one of those weird double questions. So if you get X correct, yeah, so this one you actually get achieved for this question. The next part of this question, you're asked to figure out the angle Y in this diagram. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to work out angle DHN first. So angle DHN is going to equal 180 degrees minus X, which is 180 minus 88, which is 92 degrees. And that's because they are co-interior angles in parallel lines. So that's DHN, which means angle Y now is equal to angle DHN. And that's because they are alternate angles. So angle Y equals 92 degrees because they are alternate angles in parallel lines. So this is also worth achieved, but like I said, this is one of those weird questions for part A. If you get both x and y correct with correct reasons, then you actually end up with a merit for this question. All right, let's go to the next part of this question. Okay, so in this question, you've been asked to figure out what x is. So the first angle I'm going to figure out is this one here. I'm going to call that angle SYP. The angle SYP is equal to 180 degrees minus 174 degrees, which means that's going to equal 6 degrees. Now that's because they are co-interior angles in parallel lines. So what I've done is I've just worked out that 6 degrees. The next angle I'm going to work is this orange one, which happens to be angle SYT. So SYT is going to be 180 degrees minus 6 degrees minus 2 degrees, which means that's equal to 172 degrees. And that's because they are angles on a line. Now, because there's a parallel line, let's see, I've got these two are parallel lines here. I can now figure out what x is, because x and orange, the orange angle, they're going to add up to 180 degrees. So angle x is equal to 180 degrees minus the orange angle, which is SYT, which is 180 degrees minus 172 degrees, and that's going to give me 8 degrees, and that's because they're co-interior angles on parallel lines. So grade-wise, you're going to get merit if you find the correct angle and give reasons for at least two of the two reasons correct. I guess that's what. For achieved, just getting angle x, just the answer. Angle x correct is 8 degrees, or one angle correct with a reason. So maybe one of these things with a correct reason will get you an achieved. Cool, that's it for this question, guys. Let's go to the next one. Alright guys, this particular question, there's so many ways of doing it. I'm going to try and show you the most quickest way here, is this here. What we're going to do is we're going to create, because IK and LM are on the ground, we can say that this is going to form a right angle triangle, which means the angle at F, sorry, let me just do that one again. So the angle at F, all right, I'm looking at that particular angle, is going to be 180 degrees minus 2 degrees and minus 2 degrees, which is 176 degrees because of angles in a triangle. So basically this value here is 176 degrees. Now if that's 176 degrees, then I can actually figure out what the orange angle is, which is CFG. Oh, CFG, not SFG. CFG. So I'm basically looking at this angle here. And I can see that angle CFG is actually equal to 176 degrees because they are vertically opposite angles. Now, if angle CFG is 176 degrees, which is this one here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the working here, guys. What I'm going to say is, what I need a different color. All right, I got this color here, right here. EGJ. So because angle EGJ equals to the orange angle, which is angle CFG, because notice that they're both 176 degrees, equals to 176 degrees. And because both angles are same, that means they must be corresponding angles. Must be corresponding angles. Therefore, AB is parallel to CD. I think that's how you prove it. So, to get to grades wise, getting to the final part is excellence. Any two angles, so you need two angles. I mean, these are just two angles that I've calculated, but you might have actually done it in a completely different way. Two angles with correct reasoning will get you a merit, or achieved is or, basically one of this or one of that with the correct reasoning. Cool, that's it for this question. Let's go to the next one. Alright guys, so with this question, the first assumption that we're making is that if L is actually from there to there, then we can say that from C to this point here is also equal to L. So that means we've got this triangle that looks like this, where this is C, this is D, this is 2 degrees, and then we've got X here. Now that's 2 degrees, then we can say that that's going to be 88 degrees. And then L is the hypotenuse there. Okay, so that means we've got adjacent, we've got hypotenuse, which means we are using cos rule. So we're going to say cos theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So, which means we've got cos of 88 degrees equals adjacent, which happens to be X, hypotenuse, which happens to be L. Now, this question is actually asking you for X in terms of length L. So we can just say, if we cross multiply, sorry guys, lost my train of thought there, got distracted by my dog. But anyway, where was I? Okay, so got to write this X in terms of L. So I'm going to cross multiply this. I'm going to get L times cos 88 equals 2X. And that's basically it. So this question is worth an achieved. So that's what it is. All right, let's go to the next question. Okay guys, so for this question we've been asked to figure out what H is. Now we already know what X is. We know that X is, well, I'm just going to show you guys the diagram that we just did in the previous question. So what we had was we had C, we had D, this was L. We figured out what X was because that was cos 88 multiplied by L. Alright, we knew that this angle here was 88 degrees and this was a right angle triangle. That's what we were working with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what CD is in terms of L, because remember they want H in terms of L as well. So to work out CD in terms of L, that's actually opposite and that's hypotenuse. So I've got sine of an angle equals opposite divided by hypotenuse, which means I've got sine 88 equals opposite divided by hypotenuse, which is L. So then I can cross multiply and I can say L times sine 88 equals opposite. So what I've literally found is the distance, the golden line here is L times, that's the opposite side, which is L times sine 88. So I'm just going to write that here. So then what I can do is I can use Pythagoras to work out what, maybe I should use a different color, to work out what this orange part is. Okay, let me show you guys how I'm going to work that out. So I'm looking at this triangle where 10 meters is from here to here. Then the bottom part of it is L sine 88 degrees. And then this part of it, I'm going to call it something like, what letter? The orange one, so I'm going to use Y. Basically, that's what that is. Okay, so what I can then say is using Pythagoras, I can say y squared plus L sine 88 degrees squared equals 10 squared. So that I can say y squared equals 100 minus L sine 88 degrees squared. So y is equal to square root of 100 minus L times sine 88 squared. So if I want to work out what h is, then I can see that h is equal to x plus y. I already figured out what x is. X is equal to cos 88 times L. So then I can say h is equal to L times cos 88 plus y, which happens to be square root of 100 minus L sine 88 squared. And that's pretty much how you do this question, guys. So get to the final part is an excellence. Find horizontal distance t. So I think getting up to here will get you a merit, but that's basically it for these two questions. I mean, these two different answers here. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Okay guys, so in this question you've been asked to find angle P. So the first angle I'm going to find is, let's see, this one here. Alright, so I'm going to call that angle NMQ. So angle NMQ is going to equal 71 degrees. Maybe, yeah, it is going to equal 71 degrees. Because what have we got? Base angles of an isosceles triangle. Now you might be wondering why isosceles triangle, because you can actually say OM and OQ are equal because they're radius. Alright, I'm sure there's another way of doing this, shorter reason, but that's pretty much how I would have done it. And if that's 71 degrees, we know that angle NMQ, which is this one here, angle NQM. NQM is a 90 degrees. So angle NQM equals 90 degrees. Because that's angles in a semicircle. And then finally, angle P equals 180 degrees minus 90 minus 71, because they're angles in a triangle. So angle P is equal to 19 degrees. So getting this, guys, with two correct angles and two correct reasons gets you a merit. Achieved is just the angle with no reasons, or one angle shown with a reason. So achieved you can possibly get from there or there. Cool, that's part one. Let's go to part two. Alright guys, so in this question you've been asked to figure out what angle E is. So to do this, it's really hard for me to actually draw it on here, but I'm going to try and show it to you guys with this part here. Let me see. I'm going to use this color right here. Okay, right here we go. That's one side, that's a second side, that's a third side, and that's the fourth side. So because what that means now is I've actually got a cyclic quadrilateral. Now we know that opposite angles in cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees, and the opposite angles in this case is 37, 75 and E, so those two angles must add up to 180 degrees. So basically we've got 37 degrees plus 75 plus E should equal 180 degrees because opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral is equal to 180 degrees. So from here, rearranging it, we're going to get E equals 180 minus 75 minus 37, and so E is equal to 68 degrees. So for this, guys, you get a merit with the right reasons. Just getting the angle only could get you an achieved, or one angle shown with a reason. So if you find some other angle with the appropriate reason, you could get an achieved for that as well. Cool, so let's go to the next question. Okay guys, so for this question you've been asked to find an expression for z in terms of y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same kind of idea of the cyclic quadrilateral before. Alright, so I'm going to be looking at particularly this cyclic quadrilateral because I know that angle z plus whatever this, so basically this two angles here, angle z, sorry, I shouldn't put that, angle z and the orange angle should add up to 180 degrees. And I can also prove orange angle in terms of y. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say angle, or the orange angle is going to be RMO. Alright, RMO is going to equal angle ORM. Okay, and they're both going to equal each other because they are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Sorry. And the reason it's an isosceles triangle is because both of them have the same radius. Now if that's the case, then basically I can say angle RMO is equal to 180 degrees minus y and then divided by 2. Okay, so that's angle RMO. Now what I can say is angle Z, which is the purple one here. So angle Z plus angle RMO should equal 180 degrees because they are cyclic because opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral is 180 degrees. So if that's the case, then I've got angle Z plus angle RMO, which is 180 degrees minus y over 2 equals 180 degrees. So simplifying this, I get angle Z plus 90 degrees minus y over 2 equals 180 degrees, and rearranging this, I get angle Z is equal to 180 minus 90 plus y over 2, which means angle Z is equal to 90 plus y over 2. So grades wise, you're looking at excellence for the final part, and it says find two relevant angles with two reasons towards proof. So for merit, you need two angles with two reasons, and for achieved, one angle and one reason, correct reason. Cool, that's it for this question, guys. Let's go to the next one. Alright guys, so for the last question here, we've got a bearings question. The best way to do bearings question is actually try and create a whole lot of right angle triangles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a whole lot of right angle triangles. So the first triangle I'm going to create is going to look like this. The second one is going to look like this. And then the third right angle triangle is going to look like this. Let's see if I can try and get that in right. There we go. So the question is asking the bearing from the flags on the Auckland Harbour Bridge to Devonport. So basically from here to here is what you're looking for, because that's the direction of Devonport right there. Okay, Now we already know one part of it, that this part here is already 90 degrees. So we just need to work out what this little angle here is. Now, to work out that angle, you are going to need the length from, I'm going to put this as this light blue line here, and you're going to need the golden part as well, because I think then you can actually use tan to actually work out what that little angle is. Okay, now to work out the blue part, the light blue part, what you need is you need to work out basically this distance first. So I'm going to call it L1, and then this distance here, which is going to be L2. Now you might be wondering why I'm calling it L1 and L2. Well, it's just light blue 1 and light blue 2, and when you add it up you get the big blue. Alright, that's the idea. So for the golden part, so I've got, if I work out this distance, alright, I'm going to call this G1 and G2 here, and actually no, maybe not, let's just put this as G2 here and G1 there. So then if I work out what G is, work out what G2 is, then I could work out what G1 is. Okay. Alright, so let's get going. What are the angles we have? The first thing is Devonport. Devonport is at a bearing of 59 degrees and 3.54 from the Sky Tower. So that means basically from Sky Tower, this angle here is 59 degrees. If that's 59, because we made this flat, we can actually say that this angle here is going to be 31 degrees, because 90 minus 51 is 31 degrees. Now what you have is you have a hypotenuse which is 3.54 and 31 degrees, so you can actually work out what L2 and G2 is. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out what G2 is. To work out G2, I'm going to have this as hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. So for G2 it's going to be O and H, so I'm using sine rule. So it's going to be sine of 31 degrees equals opposite, which is G2, divided by hypotenuse, which is 3.54. So which means G2 is going to equal 3.54 times sine 31 degrees, which equals to 1.82, what is this, kilometers. So G2 is 1.82 kilometers. Next I'm going to work out L2. So for L2, it's going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos 31 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So L2 divided by hypotenuse, which is 3.54, which means L2 equals 3.54 times cos 31, which equals to 3.03 kilometers. So that's this one here. Okay, next I need to work out L1 and G. Now to do that, I need to have a look at the flags on the Auckland Harbour Bridge are at a bearing of 322 from Sky Tower. So that means I need a different colored pen here. What am I? I'm running out of colored pens here. I'm going to try and use a red here. Okay, so this is the bearing of 322. So 322 is from here all the way across there. So that means to find out what this angle is, I can go 322 minus 270, which equals to 52 degrees. Okay, so that there is going to become 52 degrees. And basically I repeat the same process, guys, with opposite. So this is going to be opposite, this is going to be adjacent, and this is going to be hypotenuse. So I need to work out what G is and work out what L1 is. So I'm going to work out L1 first. So to do L1, it's adjacent and hypotenuse. So I've got sine of 52 degrees equals L1, which is the adjacent side, divided by hypotenuse, which is 2.45. So L1 equals 2.45 times sine 52, which equals 1.93 kilometers. So that's 1.93 kilometers. Then I need to work out what G is. So G is the opposite one. So then I can say, because it's, have I made a mistake here? Yep, I've just made a mistake. I've just realized that I actually worked out G in the previous case. Let me just change that out. Sorry guys, it's really, so that's actually G, what I just worked out. So this can't be 1.93. G is 1.93 because that was opposite. Okay, let's go to L. L1, if I'm going to work out L1, I got to use cos because it's adjacent and hypotenuse. So I got cos 52 equals L1 divided by hypotenuse, which is 2.45. So L1 equals 2.45 times cos 52, which equals 1.51 kilometers. That's better. So now what I can say is L. So see how this light blue here? This L equals 1.51 plus 3. So I can say L equals 1.51 plus 3.03, which equals to 4.54. Okay, and if you look at G, G is 1.93. I've already got 1.82 here, which means 1.93 minus 1.82 is going to be 0.11. So that's how I work out. Because I can say G1 equals G minus G2. G is 1.93 minus G2 is 1.82. So I'm going to get 0.11 kilometers. Okay, now I need to figure out what this angle here is. I'm going to call this angle X. All right. So if you look at my diagram, this is what I have. I've got L from here, which is 4.54. Then I have G1 from here, which is 0.11. And I need that X angle, which is there. So with this, I'm using opposite and adjacent. So I've got tan of X equals 0.11 over 4.54. So X is equal to inverse tan of 0.11 over 4.54. So X is equal to 1.4 degrees. Okay, it's not all, guys, because you need to figure out what the bearing is. So bearing is going to be the 90 plus 1.4. So bearing, you've got to include the 90 degrees as well. So it's going to be 90 plus 1.4, which means you're going to get a bearing of 0.091.4 degrees. And that should be your final answer. Okay, so grades wise, that's excellence. Find any 3 correct lengths using okay, so basically for merit, you're looking for, you get for 3 lengths. So any 3 lengths that you guys calculate, you're going to be looking at a merit that could be used. You could use trig or Pythagoras. And then if you just get like 1 calculation right, 1 length correct, then you get an achieved for this question. Cool. I know it's a long question, guys, but it's not that hard. It's just a whole lot of right angle triangles put together. All right, definitely worth having a crack at this question if you see it in the exams. Cool. That's it for this question. All right, folks, that's it for this exam paper. If you have any questions or comments, just drop it in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and good luck for your exams.